What in the heck happens next? All your questions, thoughts, frustrations, Locked On Badgers live show. Let's go.
You are Locked On Badgers, your daily podcast on the Wisconsin Badgers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What in the heck happens next? All your questions, your thoughts, live Locked On Badgers reaction show. We're going to talk about everything going on with this program right now, big picture, what we think could come next. Why do people still have jobs? Are we at that point? Midseason potential firings, your comments, your thoughts from the Discord. We're going to just roll down it. Again, this is going to be another kind of therapy show, another therapy session. I really appreciate you guys so much. Let's get it. First question, Family Man Ty, great friend of the show off the Discord. Why isn't he fired yet? Listen, this is going to be a no-hold-barred show. No holds barred show. We're just going to roll with it. Why is he not fired yet? I think I've said this a couple times. I don't think it makes sense to do it in the midseason in general, unless you have somebody on staff that you know can really take over, and that would be a Jim Leonhard. And I had somebody point out, well, could it get worse? Well, it can't really get worse than 37-0 to Iowa, right? But can it help anything? I don't think so. I don't think in season helps anything. I truthfully don't. And if you are doing it in season, the only reason to me that makes a lot of sense, if there's not off the field issues, which there's not, the only reason that really makes sense is if you have a candidate you want to get in on right away. Like there's some hotshot candidate out there and you think you can get in on him right away. So you make the move, you get rid of Luke Fickell and you hire somebody else that you think someone else will scoop up. But I don't want this athletic director making the next decision. So the reason why I am not there are several reasons why I'm not a fan of the in-season firing. The first is I don't want this administration necessarily making the next move. I think that has to be the first domino to fall, which means it's an off-season thing. Okay, that's the first thing I'm at. The second part is and this isn't any type of shot on Luke Fickell whatsoever, but he's the head guy, and he should kind of be in charge of this program as it's about to navigate its toughest schedule right now and get the criticism for not doing it well, right? What I don't want to do is promote somebody else and then they start to get blasted for what's going to happen to Ohio State and Wisconsin, what's going to happen to Oregon and Wisconsin. You know, Luke Fickell, this is what you built. I think he almost needs to see this through and get the criticism for what's about to happen. I almost don't want to put somebody else up there on the pulpit to get hammered because I don't know how this gets better. I don't know how it gets better. And you guys know me. I'm like the most optimistic Badger fan ever. But that's why I'm not a fan of a midseason firing for several reasons. Next question here we got from Kling. And again, I appreciate all the comments, guys. Does Franklin getting fired change the perspective for Wisconsin at all? Even with Penn State having way more money to play with. Man, Franklin getting fired today was wild. Guys, gals, that thing was wild. Franklin had a $50 million buyout. That's a lot of sirens going on. I think I'm in a safe spot. I am. Franklin had a $50 million buyout, went to the playoffs last year, is never bad, never has a bad team, and he loses a couple games this year, and they fired him. I mean, I actually think it would have made sense to keep Franklin and put $50 million into that roster and just see what he does next year. This could be a blip. Penn State better be careful. This has some eerie similarities to what we did with Chris. It has some eerie similarities to what Nebraska did. Franklin's pretty successful there. To your other question, does Franklin getting fired change the perspective at Wisconsin at all? I think it puts pressure on them. It absolutely puts pressure on them because now now you can't hide behind a buyout anymore, right? Franklin getting fired, you can no longer say, man, that's a lot of money when another team in your conference fired a coach that has twice the buyout. What that tells you, what the message is they're serious about football. And I'm not going to tell you Wisconsin's not, but that is going to be the perception, right? That is going to be the optics, and optics matter. They matter to the national perspective. They matter in recruiting. They matter to parents and alumni and fans donate to NIL. It's all cyclical. So yeah, it matters. And I think Franklin changing, or Franklin getting fired may not change the perspective of the people inside the Wisconsin administration or some of the decision makers, but I think it increases the pressure because the optics are, look at Penn State. They're not going to settle for a couple bad losses. They're not going to settle for mediocrity. They're going to do whatever they can. They're willing to spend $15 million, even if you could argue that they shouldn't, but they're willing to do it to get to the next level in football. And here's Wisconsin, who's just going to do kind of nothing. So I think it changes the optics of it. Cujo says, buddy, we love you. Take a day off. Your team every day, Cujo. I got you, brother. Your team every single day, no matter where we are. Derek says, if we move on, who would be the affordable program builder that we could hire? That's a good question. Who would be the affordable program builder that we could hire? I got two names, and one of them, my good buddy texted me the other day, and it's certainly somebody we've talked about. It's certainly Badger fans I've talked about. Lance Leipold at Kansas would make a ton of sense if you could figure out a way to get him on for a couple of years, right? Because this thing needs to be rebuilt. You need to fix this program right now. This program doesn't need an overhaul. This program needs an entire new engine right now. Leipold could make some sense there. He's older, so he's not going to be around quite as much, but he could come in for 3 to 5 years and give you a foundation because all he's done everywhere he's gone is be solid. So he's definitely the type of guy that could do that for you. I don't know if he'd want to leave Kansas, though, right? Jason Eck is a name that's been thrown around a lot. Both of these guys with Wisconsin connections. I would continue. I'm telling you right now, if this move were to happen, I'm not telling you it is. If it were to happen, and I would kick the tires on Jim Leonhard. I would 100% just call him up, send some charcuterie his way, maybe a bottle of wine, whatever it is. I would definitely kick the tires because I think the floor would come up quite a bit with Jim Leonhard. And if you want to talk affordable, he's not going to be at the top of a price range for Wisconsin Badger coaches. So it's a really good question. Yeah, Jim says Leipold. Bourbon and Bass says Leipold. Rick Fanta, Leipold. Koldalnicki. Now, Koldalnicki's not going to be cheap as an offensive coordinator. Mike, call Jimmy back. Andrew, get Koldalnicki from Penn State. Koldalnicki as a head coach is kind of interesting, right? I don't know if I think they need somebody safer. It intrigues me, Andrew. I think you need somebody who's proven at this point he can be a safe head coach. And I think this pendulum will swing. You made a really risky, high risk and high reward move with Luke Fickell, one that a lot of people lauded, one that a lot of people liked. If you were to move on, I think they would shift in the other direction and hire somebody that's been proven, been around a long time, or safe in terms of Jim Leonhard, Wisconsin guy who bleeds red and white and probably has a pretty high floor. Let's see. Let's keep going. Next question here. Again, I got a bunch of questions on the Discord. I really do appreciate y'all. Pilprin, it feels like the end is near for the Fickell era. Is it better for the players to have it happen at the end of the season or during a bye? That's a good question. I think I don't know if it's better either way. Is how I'd phrase that. If you're heading for a breakup, you could argue the sooner it happens, the better. But players in season, it's not like you can't go and jump into another program anyway. I don't know if it's huge either way for the players. Certainly the sooner you find out as a recruit, right? If we're talking about recruits, the sooner you find out there, the better. But yeah, I don't know if it makes a big difference either way. All right, we're going to take a quick second here, come back with a bunch more of your questions, including, are we a basketball school now? We got lots to get into. Locked On Badgers. 1 second, and a thank you as always for tuning in. Today's episode brought to you by our incredible friends over at Mazda. We are so lucky to be able to be sponsored by incredible people and have all the incredible people that watch the show. Today's episode, like I said, sponsored by our good friends over at Mazda, moving the game forward. This episode is we're going to talk about those moments, right, that move the game forward a little bit more. The moments that do more than just move the crowd. They're more than just playing the game. It's about redefining it. You didn't find many of those moments last week, but I thought Dylan Jones, if you want to go and find somebody that played that game really hard, Dylan Jones, I had an Iowa fan reach out to me and said, man, he's really running the ball hard, playing tough. I thought he came to play against Iowa. And just like Dylan Jones, when you follow up moves, the unexpected is only the beginning. Just like there's more to every single highlight, there's more to every Mazda vehicle. Moving crowds, moving culture, and keeping you moving forward. Mazda, move and be moved. Today's episode, that was it for that ad read. Let's move on. We got, like I said, we have a bunch more comments coming up. Today's Locked On Badgers. And I want to say thank you to everybody tuning in as well. We'll get to our next comment right now. Okay. This one, I didn't get the name of this one. I'm sorry. But what's your travel time to Madison? Any road trip must-haves? It's about 4 hours, a little under 4 hours for me to get to Madison. And honestly, I just throw a podcast on and I grab a Subway. It's as simple as that. And a coffee usually. That's as simple as that. Let's see. Donk. How do I fight the depression of watching this team? Are we a basketball school now? Yes, we are a basketball school now. No, we're not. Listen, no. We're not a basketball school now because we're still in the Big Ten. I still saw 60,000 people fill Camp Randall, 65, whatever it was. Like this team with a good football program. When I think of basketball schools, I think of schools that are so apathetic to football that it doesn't really matter one way or the other. Like UNC can have a couple good years of football. They're not a football school. You know, Wisconsin is still a football school because there's 20 plus years of history here. And there's a full state of people that friggin' love the sport of football and will still come and really support and live and die with this program if it's good, if it's competent, even if it's just competitive. So, no, we are not a basketball school now because I think there's too much history here. There's too much care. There's too many people who love the sport, who grew up with good Wisconsin football, who aren't going to let that go. But yeah, the basketball program is pretty good right now, and the football program is not. So I get the question: how do I fight the depression of watching this team? That's a tough one because I felt that in this game. I mean, I'd be straight up honest with you guys. There was a couple plays where there's very few games I've ever been in Camp Randall where I've felt bored. And I was just like trying to figure out, like, all right, what I got to get done for content. And I would look down to do some work and I would miss a play or two. And that never happens to me in Camp Randall. That doesn't happen to me watching a TV. So I feel it too. I feel the depression, the apathy. How do I fight the depression watching this team? I don't have a great answer for you, man. Beer, maybe, more or less, depending on where you're at currently. I would say you focus on younger players. But again, if there's some type of regime change, they may not even be here. It's tough, man. And it's a very fair question. Nick says, sort of a deeper question. I love those. Does the firing of Fickell come with finally bringing the level of investment required for a program like Wisconsin? So does the firing of Fickell come with bringing the level of investment? I actually am worried, and this is a good question. And I think where you're asking. I think you're asking it from the perspective of, is paying a $25 million buyout, if it got to that point, indicative of the fact that Wisconsin is ready to play at the highest levels. The financial commitment is there. I'm actually worried if you were to do this, that you would go cheap on the next coach, the next NIL, the next staff, because you just paid a $25 million buyout. That's actually part of my reason where if that's going to be the case, then you don't do the buyout at all, right? And you kind of take the poison pill now. I don't know if that's the case. That, again, I think there's a chance the next group is cheaper because you just paid a $25 million buyout. And if that's the case, it'd be sad, right? Where other schools seemingly are going all in and you get a bunch of media money and private equity coming in. I'm just telling you, I'm worried about that. And I hope it won't happen. So I'm actually a little worried about the inverse of your question, Nick. Let's get some live comments in as well. Sorry, I missed some of these. Let's go to the top here. We got a lot of comments, so I apologize, guys. I should have had Mike come in to help. Let's see. Will asks, am I in a cave? I am. I'm not in a cave. My Lord Lester says, Ryan looks like Batman on top of Gotham City. Nick says, I say keep fighting no matter what, and we stick with the coaches and Badger players. Fight me. Let's go, Nick. Listen, I love the optimism. Man, we are all about optimistic takes on this as well. Every take. Let's get it. Some more thoughts here. Excuse me. Robert said McIntosh needs to be fired first. Brian Struts, how do we fire him and keep recruits? Watch what happens with Penn State. Yeah, this is a really good question, and it's something a lot of people ask. I like this question because for me, it's not a big deal, and I say that in the sense of I like a lot of the recruits in this class for sure. I like a lot of the young players as well, but if the coaching doesn't work, it doesn't matter who you recruit. If you can't develop, it doesn't matter who you recruit. So yes, if you were to make a move, if you were to move on, new regimes, get rid of people, whatever it is, you're going to lose players 100%. You're going to lose a lot. You're going to lose a lot of talented ones. I'll tell you that right now. Some of those younger players on this team, the Posas and the Catalan, I don't know. You would worry about losing guys like that. But ultimately, if the guy at the top isn't making it work, none of it matters, right? If the guy at the top isn't making it work, none of it matters. So I don't think that's a part of this argument, to be completely honest. And a new coach will bring in his own players. A new coach will bring other players with him, players from previous stops, players he has connections with. So for me, and I said the same thing, by the way, when they were moving on from Paul Chryst and Jimmy Leonard, and people said, well, if you lose Jimmy Leonard, you're going to lose all these other players and all the Wisconsin guys. And I said the same thing, guys. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you don't have the right guy at top. And at the time, they felt like Luke Fickell would be the right guy on top, and he's still here. Maybe something miraculous happens this year, but it doesn't matter if you don't have the right guy on top. So to me, that's never a big issue. Owen says, Skanes looked really good. He should get way more snaps. I agree. I'm here for the younger corners to play. Skanes, Washington. I would like to see Nicholas Clayton play a little bit more. Eugene Hilton. I'm not saying play every freshman because you don't get a better draft pick if you lose more in college football. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying a guy like Kairos Gaines, when he struggled so much in pass pro, yeah, he should play more, right? A guy like Nicholas Clayton should play more. I would play a guy like Eugene Hilton more. So I'm all in on that. 100% agree, Owen. Coach M said, this is a very sad state of affairs. Last week, I defended Luke Fickell to give him more time. Last night's performance was terrible. It's time to move on. I think that's where a lot of people are, man. That's where I'm at too, mostly. Like, I've defended Luke Fickell a lot, and I still think a lot of things he's done have made sense. We like the Longo hiring. I think he's built a really strong recruiting department. I think Pat Lambert is still excellent at his job. You know, I think a lot of things he's done made sense in the moment, and he has had bad luck. That is true. But I just don't know how I don't know how last night happens. Like, my brain can't compute 37-0 at home against Iowa a year after you lost 42-10 and then say, no, we're good. Let's just keep status quo. My brain can't compute that. And because of that, I'm thinking I'm with you, Coach M. Like, I've been here. I've been patient. We need more time. And it's been bad luck. It's just tough, man. And two things can be true. And I hit on this a little bit in the reaction show. I don't take any joy in saying I think it might be time. I don't take any joy in that because there's a lot of people on the staff I really like and I think are talented, by the way. Sometimes talented people don't work in certain situations for whatever reason. You know, not everybody's a fit in every situation. And you could go find a lot of coaches who were good in one spot and didn't work in another, and then they went somewhere else and they were successful. Players too. It just doesn't fit right now. The analogy I made is it feels like, and it's not a care factor. It's not that. The staff is putting in hours and they're working. I can promise you that. But it feels like they're kind of in a dark room without a flashlight and they can't find the way out. And you can search as hard as you want in that dark room, but it doesn't mean you're going to find the answer. So, yeah, I think I'm right there with you, Coach M, and it's tough. Matt P., is it a more grown-up decision to fire Fick now and save him and his family the torment? Let us all move on. I don't think so, because, again, I think Luke Fickell, if he really wanted to, could negotiate a buyout out of this. I think we also at times, and I don't wish this on Luke Fickell or anyone else either. I guarantee you this is not easy for him. But this is also what he signed up for, right? We gotta be real. He signed up to be a head coach at Wisconsin, making millions of dollars a year and being the highest paid employee in the state. So we didn't rope him into this. Like, he signed up for this, and this is part of the deal. If you're going to be a coach, you're going to have good and bad, and you're going to have adulation when you do well, and you're going to have criticism when you do poorly. And as he acknowledged, they've done really poorly. 37-0 against Iowa, making millions of dollars. You're going to deserve some criticism. Well, what I'll always say, and this is where I draw lines, and I always draw lines, it's never going to be personal. I'll never make something personal on this show. It's nothing personal with Luke Fickell or anybody else, but just professionally from a business standpoint, this isn't working. But no, I wouldn't do it to save him torment. Like, if you want to move on, you move on because you think it's in the best interest of the University of Madison. And if he wants to move on, he does because he thinks it's in the best interest of Luke Fickell and his family. I think it's as simple as that. All right, we're going to take another quick second here and then talk about Chris McIntosh next. Bunch more of your comments coming up. Again, appreciate the heck out of every single one of you tuning in to a live balcony edition of Locked On Badgers. The light above me went out, which is why it got a little darker, but that's okay. Like Leo Chanel, we're going to keep pounding on and not miss any single reps. Today's episode also brought to you by our great friends over at FanDuel. FanDuel's incredible, right? NFL season's going on, college football, Major League playoffs, baseball playoffs going on. Let's go Brewers. Certainly a lot of Brewers fans in this chat, which is awesome. I'm happy for all you guys. Basketball's coming up. FanDuel is the number one spot to get all your sports betting action. Whatever you're trying to do, whether it's parlays, it's futures, it's teasers, it's spreads, it's live in-game betting, it's got you covered, plus quick payouts. So when you win, you get that payout really quick. It's trustworthy. The user interface is clean, and they have great user support. If you have any questions, new customers, if you got $5 and win, you get $300 to use in bonus bets across the app. Head over to FanDuel.com today. Download the app to get started over at FanDuel.com. Today's episode also brought to you by our really, really good friends over at Monarch Money. I've talked about Monarch Money a lot. This is the type of place I go to help manage my money. So let's be a little more like Ryan, only in this case. Most other cases, you probably don't want to. But Monarch Money is great because I have money, like a little investment account here, I have a credit card here, bank account here. My wife and I both kind of have our own stuff too because we both work from home. Monarch Money brings all that together, so you don't have to log into every other bank account you have, every other investment account. This is a personal, it acts like a personal CFO, right? It tracks your spending, tracks your savings. You can build goals with your significant other, your partner, whatever it is, and you can see how close you are to those goals. It gives you all the data that like the spreadsheet nerds want, but also all the visual data that like ADHD people like me want. It is phenomenal. It is completely awesome, and it's something I use and I trust. Right now, let's take better care of our money. Don't let financial opportunities slip through the crack. Use code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com. In your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with code LOCKEDONCollege. Okay, let's jump back into this. Let's keep rolling. Next question from the Discord. This one, let's see, where'd it go? I lost it. Here it is. From Hitty. Makes way more sense to fire Mac first and get a new AD to helm the coaching search. Correct. Agreed. By the way, my chat is blowing up right now. Tell me nothing just happened in the middle of the show. Nope. Okay. All good. Nothing crazy happened. My chat is blowing up about something unrelated. Yeah, no, I agree with this. Like, at the time, most people, not all, most people thought McIntosh made a home run hire beginning Fickell. I give him credit for that. But ultimately, you are judged on the results of your actions, right? You are judged on what happened. And what has happened is this football program has nosedived. So I don't think he's the guy you want. If it gets to the point of making a new coaching decision, I don't think you want him to make that decision because it's too important. And he's already mishandled one. This didn't work. And that's on him. This was his guy, right? So I agree. I think it makes sense to start at the top, find somebody who has experience at a representative type school like to Wisconsin, find an athletic director from a Kansas, a Northwestern, an Illinois, Purdue, whatever, like a one that has more experience than McIntosh had coming in, right? And somebody who can bring an outside perspective, maybe help you with NIL, maybe help you fundraise more, maybe help do some of these other things, bring a different perspective to it, and then he gets to make the decision. So I actually agree with this completely, Hitty, which is also why I think this is an off-season thing. I don't think it's an in-season thing. Big P says, what do you think the record will be the rest of the season? I think they win another game. Listen, I know people think I'm crazy. It's really hard just to never win again in college football. Bad teams win all the time. Good teams drop a game. Maybe it's Washington. Maybe it's Minnesota. Maybe it's Illinois. I don't know. Cheesehead Bucky says we're a hockey school now. Nick, the great Nick Hitchens, man, says Honcho's right. Volleyball and hockey school. Again, I'm trying to catch up on all these comments here. Ben says, I hope Jason Eck is next. Has a history at UW with BA, proven culture guy, team builder. Listen, Eck coaches with intensity, right? I don't think he'd be the most expensive guy. I think you could get him probably. There might be a couple of schools on his radar, but that would be an interesting one. That would definitely be a very interesting one. Forrest says, Leipold, Aranda, Eck. I don't know about Aranda. I would definitely be interested in Leipold. Eck would be interesting as well. I still would kick the tires with Jim Leonard, 100%. Rye says, how to fight apathy. Go Packers, go Brewers, go Badgers basketball. Yeah, and that's what will happen, by the way, right? People will shift. They'll shift away from football. Peace sizzle. Bring Jimmy Leonard back. I think you got to kick the tires there. Okay, let's keep going here. More thoughts and questions. Do you think he'll negotiate buyout? I think anything's possible, right? There are Luke Fickell's made a lot of money. Maybe there's a point in time where it gets to that level where he just wants out. But I would also say why? Like, why would he negotiate the buyout? What is the real goal for him? He doesn't owe Wisconsin anything. You know, this is a contract that we agreed to. That when I say we, the University of Wisconsin, I mean, he could not win another game and get paid every cent of it. I don't know. He's not like a Paul Chris that has loyalties to the state and grew up here and loved it and played here. So yes, the answer is he could. I don't think he would because I just don't see the upside. And people generally don't give away money. We talk about this with NBA athletes all the time who have the ability to maybe negotiate some of their buyout stuff with the way the NBA salary cap works. And it's always like, but why would they? They'll just keep their money. So yeah, if it's possible. I would not think that would probably happen. Eric, this is one of the things I'm worried about. How do we afford to pay Nick Fickell's buyout and a new coach without completely sacrificing NIL? I mean, if we're talking about, and again, this isn't exactly me breaking this. This is something that is talked about that Wisconsin doesn't exactly want to pay a buyout of this size. And I mean, where do people think that money's going to come from? And I'm just telling you like it is. I am worried that if you were to do this, it would impact the ability to compete next year with whatever new coach you have. And maybe that's fine. Maybe if you think this is completely off the rails, it probably makes sense to rip the Band-Aid off, like for lack of a better term. But that's a lot of money for a program that already isn't at the top tier of spending on this football program. I didn't word that very well, but I think people understand what I'm saying. So I'm right there with you, Nick, or Eric. I think it's a good question. Let's deal with the other here. 10-year nickel. Is there any blame to be put on the players? Obviously, most, if not all, is on the coaches. But do the players play a part in the struggles? Yes, 100%. I love this comment. So after the game yesterday and after our post-game show, which, by the way, post-game show, we're out there outside. It's me, Rajiv, and Justin, and your boy Ryan is holding it down. Those two are freezing to death. Like, I got, like, not true Wisconsinites, man. But after all of that, we went out, we did just kind of ourselves a little nightcap. Scary joined us. It was awesome. And the four of us went and got some wings, and it was great. And we were talking about this. And this is one of the things that kind of came up briefly, too. The players got to be better. And then I texted someone today, too, and I just thought in my head, this is a great thought by Tenure Nickel, because I had the exact same thought in my head. I'm like, the players are getting off a little too easy here. I put a ton of blame on the coaching staff for how we've looked. Coaches establish culture, 100%. But also, every one of these players should be a competitor. You can't tell me you did 42 push-ups every practice in the offseason and you come out and you give this type of effort. There were players on defense that felt like let up. It felt like there were guys that, quite frankly, didn't look as upset as they should look, getting beat 37-0. If you're a competitor, if you're a real competitor, if you got that dog in you, if you got heart, bro, I lost a game of Monopoly one time to my buddy, and him and I aren't friends anymore. Like, that's real. He was also cheating. Like, he had developed some weird things where he wasn't paying rent on a couple properties because he worked out some backroom deal. But, like, bro, I'm competitive. Like, I'm competitive. Like, I couldn't imagine being in front of that many people in that stadium and losing 37-0 and not getting pissed off. Getting beaten down by Iowa last year and not getting all pissed off. So, yeah, 100% there's plenty to put on the players. Go make a tackle. Go make a play. Again, most of this is on the coaches. But dude, yes, the players bear some responsibility here. There are veterans in this program who have been here long enough to be better than this. And it feels like some people have given up a little bit. And that frustrates me. Sorry. And a lot of them haven't too. Like, I'm not painting with a broad brush. I'm not. But the players do bear some responsibility, in my opinion. My very humble opinion, which means nothing, by the way. I say this all the time, dude. My opinion is just my opinion. It doesn't make it the right one. It doesn't make it the correct one. It's just mine. And every other opinion in this chat, and again, I'm going to try to catch up on comments, is equally important and valuable. But my opinion, yeah, the players do deserve some blame. And they should be more competitive. They should be a little more ticked off. And there were some people, and I will not name any names, but there were a couple players I saw laughing on the bench. And it's not funny, man. You got an incredible opportunity to play D1 football. You can blame coaches for that if you want. These are young men. It's not funny, and you shouldn't be laughing if you're a competitor. I will not name any names because that's not this type of show. Bo Dragon says, Ryan, no offense, your evaluation sucks. See, why you got to be mean-spirited, though, Bo? And I don't think our D-line stinks. It doesn't stink. All right, let's keep going here. All right. By the way, anytime you say no offense, comma, you're always going to say something offensive. How many people do you think will be in attendance when we play Washington? That's from Frankie. What time is the Washington game? Because that matters. I don't know. Well, I guess it probably depends on how well Washington travels, honestly. 50,000, it's not going to be great. And it'll be quick to clear out if it's anything like the Iowa game. Rocktober. I got to meet Rocktober this weekend. He's incredible. It's awesome. How do other fan bases stay invested when they are in the place we find ourselves? Kind of similar to a previous question. I mean, you kind of root for young players. You root for development. You root for improvement. Winning a rivalry game, right? College football is unique in that, where you can lose. You can maybe win 3 or 4 games, but maybe one of them is Minnesota. And in that singular moment, that means a lot. But it is a great question, man. Honcho, the great Honcho. No more questions. I'm just numb to it all. Wisconsin football used to make me mad when we lost. Now it doesn't even move the needle. That's well said. Apathy has set in for a lot of people, man, and I don't blame them. All right, let's keep going here. There's a lot of comments in here. I'm not going to be able to hit them all. Brett is a great dude. Got to see him. He said, do a great job. Everybody in this community does a great job. Will Hannah says, on my show, I would have mentioned those players. Dominic says, the dark days of LOB. Tom says, the lighting is to signify the state of the program. It's not. I tried to get this started earlier, and we had a sunset in the background, and it would have been a total banger of an episode. And instead, hello, darkness, my old friend, descended on us, which I guess is kind of analogous to the state of the program right now. Hello, darkness, my old friend. Dun, 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 dun. Okay. Papa Smurf said Ryan called Colorado a joke of a program. The irony. Yeah, they can be a joke too. There's more than one joke of a program. All right, let's keep going here. Dominic, this is a good question, or a good point. This is a better team than what the coaches make it, though, 100%. There's definitely more talent here. There's more resources here. There's more NIL here than 37-0 against Iowa. That is 100% accurate. 100% accurate. So no question there. I'm just trying to see. There's a bunch of comments I'm not going to get to, and I appreciate you guys. Zach Bart's another person I got to see this weekend, which is incredible. You go Wisconsin guy, FCS D2, D3. You're not getting a big name guy. You need someone who cares, someone hungry enough to make a name for themselves. And honestly, that's what we need now. That's a good take. I think that's a really good take. And if we're talking Wisconsin guys, we're talking the guys we've talked about on this show somewhat, right? We're talking Leonard. We're talking Leipold. What are some I honestly don't know this, and I know Zach threw a name out there. What are some good D2, D3 Wisconsin guys now? I don't know. But I agree. What they're going to do if this happens, you're going to swing that pendulum. You're going to go from that flashy out-of-state hire, and you're going to go to an in-state coach. You're going to go to a quote-unquote safe hire who's going to be a culture fit. And that's I think that's where they're going to land. Now, who that is, maybe a Sean Lewis, right? Maybe a Sean Lewis is an interesting candidate who probably would have been the offensive coordinator under Jim Leonhard if Jim Leonhard had gotten the job. And, I don't know. It was with Deion Sanders for a year. That didn't really work out, but, I mean, he's rebounded somewhat at this point. That's possible there, too. All right, we're going to wrap it up, again, on Wisconsin. Appreciate you guys so much. I got through all the Discord ones. We'll do a wrap-up of even the live comments if we can. And we'll do more of these shows this week. I think we got Nick Osen coming up this week. I think Rajiv will be coming up. A couple other interesting basketball ones, which I think are going to be a lot of fun that are coming up. So a lot of people coming up this week, as always, on Wisconsin. I do appreciate every single one of you guys and gals for tuning into the show. And when you're done here, go check out the Squad Show, Locked on Big Ten, every week. I'm usually there. And, we have a good time, and I guarantee people are going to be laughing at me this week. So you guys can tune in if you want and help me out there. Give me a little backup. And, I thought I saw one other question in here, but I don't see it now. Forrest Aguirre, thank you for tolerating us, Ryan. You are very welcome, Forrest. Thank you for being a part of the show on Wisconsin, and we will talk later.